There are places in this world that don't belong, places that feel off. You might pass them on the road, a gas station that flickers into existence, a house no one remembers being built, but that leads straight to hell, a diner that only seems to be open at night. And if you're unlucky enough to stop, if you step inside, you may never leave. Tonight, we bring you 2 terrifying stories of those who stumbled upon something that might have been built just for them. Something truly evil, something that watches and waits. Welcome to A Strange Thought.
I should have turned around when the gas light came on. I should have ignored the letter. The name on it wasn't even mine. But I kept driving and driving and driving. The road stretched ahead, endless, weaving through the hills of the Ozarks like a snake coiling through the trees. My GPS had stopped working miles ago, the signal fading into nothing but static. There was no cell service, no signs, no mile markers, just the road and the thick canopy of trees pressing in on both sides. The letter had been vague, an invitation to an estate, a place I had never heard of, from a relative I didn't know. But something about it had pulled at me, like a thread unraveling in the back of my mind. A curiosity, a whisper. Now I was running on fumes, and the road hadn't changed, hadn't curved, hadn't split. Just the same stretch, repeating like a broken record. My hands tightened on the wheel. The trees outside were too still. No wind, no rustling leaves. Even my headlights barely seemed to cut through the dark. I passed a sign. Welcome to Black Hollow. My heart thudded. I'd seen that sign before, miles back. Hours back. The road had looped. I pulled over, gripping the wheel, my pulse pounding in my ears. The engine sputtered, coughed, and died. I sat there, staring at the sign, my breath fogging up the windshield. I wasn't alone. Something was moving in the trees. A flicker of movement, a rustle where there had been no wind. My fingers clenched the steering wheel, knuckles pale. My body screamed at me to stay put, but something deeper, something primal, told me that waiting was worse. Then just ahead, a neon light buzzed to life, red and yellow, blinking sluggishly against the darkness. Clyde's Diner. The open sign flickered twice, then held steady. I swallowed hard. I hadn't seen a diner when I passed this way before. But I had passed this way before, hadn't I? The movement in the trees grew closer. Footsteps? No, more like shifting. Like something was unfurling itself from the branches. I didn't wait to find out. I stepped out of the car, the gravel crunching beneath my boots, and started toward the diner. Each step felt like moving through water, like the world had thickened, resisting me. The inside was warm, golden light spilling off the windows. A classic setup, checkered floors, red vinyl booths, a long counter with stools. The kind of place that should have felt inviting, except it didn't. The people inside were talking, laughing, silverware clinking against plates. But something felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it at first. It was just an itch in the back of my skull. A wrongness pressing in. A waitress approached me, her smile wide and polite. But as she got closer, my stomach turned. Her face, her skin, looked like it didn't quite fit. Like a mask pulled too tight over the bones beneath, stretching in unnatural ways. Her lips moved, but for a moment, the words didn't come. Then her voice slid out, just slightly delayed. Welcome to Clyde's. Can I get you something? I tried to answer, but my throat had gone dry. Behind her, at the tables, the laughter was still going. But now that I was listening, really listening, I realized none of them had stopped to breathe. I slid into a booth, keeping my eyes down. The menu was laminated, the edges curling with age. I ran a finger over the listings: burgers, fries, steak, pie. But the words meant nothing. My gut told me I shouldn't be here. The waitress was still standing there, waiting. I glanced up, and her eyes, they were too wide now, expectant. "I'll just take some coffee," I muttered. My voice felt distant, like it belonged to someone else. She smiled too much. Good choice. I looked around the room, trying to act casual, but the feeling gnawed at me. The people. They were still talking, still laughing, but none of them were eating. Plates of food sat in front of them untouched. Burgers with no bite marks, slices of pie perfectly intact. Forks and knives clinked against plates, scraping at nothing. I reached out and picked up the salt shaker. It was heavy, but something inside me needed to test it. I unscrewed the lid and poured some into my palm. Plastic, not grains of salt. Tiny plastic beads. My stomach flipped. My eyes darted to the nearest plate, an untouched burger. I reached for it, pressing my fingers into the bun. It was hollow, hard. It was a prop. The food wasn't real. I looked back at the waitress. She was still staring at me. And so were the others. Their faces, those stretched, too tight faces, had all turned toward me. The air grew thick, pressing against my skin like unseen hands. I pushed myself up from the booth, my heart hammering in my chest. I have to go. The waitress stepped forward, blocking my path. "Stay, will." The voices behind her shifted, a collective murmur that vibrated through the walls. I stepped back. They all stepped forward. Their faces began to change, their jaws unhinged, stretching impossibly wide, revealing rows upon rows of needle-thin teeth that seemed to spiral endlessly down their throats. Their eyes, once dull and glassy, shifted, expanding into something endless and focused, something hungry, starving. I stumbled backward, knocking over a chair. The sound barely registered. My breath caught in my throat as I turned my head, and that's when I saw them, stacked against the back wall, behind the counter. Bodies, lifeless, hollowed out. Their flesh sagged like discarded costumes, like suits that had been used up and shed. Some were still fresh, eyes open, mouths frozen mid-scream. I was dinner, but even worse, I wasn't just dinner. For dessert, I was their next skin. The door was too far away. I'd never make it. My mouth moved before I even knew what I was saying. "Wait, you're hungry, right?" My voice shook. "There's more of us, more food. Where I'm from, so many people. I can bring them to you." Silence. Their two wide eyes blinked, absorbing my words. Then one by one, they smiled. I ran. I don't remember getting to my car. I don't remember the road or how I found my way back. But I know this. I left Clyde's diner behind, and I left the door open for them. Now the people of Black Hollow are out in our world, hungry, searching for food, and what's even worse, you may be their next costume. I thought prison would keep me safe. I thought steel bars and locked doors meant protection. I was wrong. Every night I hear it calling. Every night I see the door again. The one I never should have opened. I was running. Didn't know where. Didn't care. My lungs burned. My legs felt like lead, but I didn't stop. The cops were closing in, and I needed a place to hide. And then, there it was, a house, standing alone in the woods, too perfect, too still, like it had been waiting for me. It looked abandoned. The windows were dark, the paint peeling, vines creeping up the sides. But the door was unlocked. I stepped inside. The air was stale, thick with the scent of old wood and something else, something faintly metallic, like rust or blood. The floor didn't creak beneath my weight. It should have. Old houses groan, they breathe, but this one held its breath. A candle flickered on the table, a small, wax-dripped thing, its flame dancing like it had just been lit. I didn't light it, which meant someone else had. I checked the door behind me, locked, just like that. No sound, no click, just locked. My phone, no signal, not even a single bar, not even the illusion of connection, just dead air. Then I saw it. A door at the end of the hall, heavy old wood, the kind that belongs in a church or a crypt. Something had clawed into it, deep, jagged letters, like they'd been carved by fingernails worn to the bone. "Do not open." My pulse pounded in my ears. There was a sound, faint, just on the edge of hearing, a whisper that wasn't a whisper. Words that slid beneath my skin like ice. Jonathan, Jonathan. That sounded like... It couldn't be my name, right? Jonathan, Jonathan. It knew my name. The house knew my name. The things knew my name. I should have trusted my instincts. I should have turned away, left the house, and I should have run. I should have let them catch me. But instead, I stepped inside. I wasn't afraid of anything in my whole life, and I wasn't going to start being afraid of things now. The air was different down there, heavy, wet, like the walls had been sweating. The stairs spiraled down, down, too far down. The angles were wrong. The space felt too big, too deep, stretching out where it shouldn't. And then I saw them, faces, dozens of them, twisting in the walls, eyes rolling, mouths opening and closing like they were screaming. But no sound came out. Their skin was part of the walls, stretched like old leather, their hands clawing at nothing. Their fingers twitched, reaching for me, curling, beckoning. The whisper came again, closer this time, curling around my ear like breath. Jonathan. I turned and ran. I don't remember the stairs. I don't remember the door. Just the cold, wet breath of the thing that wasn't there, chasing me through the dark. I woke up miles away. My nails were broken, bloody, my clothes torn. My phone was still clutched in my hand. The videos and images I took, they're gone. They're missing. They locked me up. They think I belong here, and I think I do too. But they don't understand. Prison won't keep me safe. Nothing will. Because I left the door open. And now, anywhere I am, they are in danger too. Because it knows where to find me.
Some places should remain lost. Some doors should never be opened. But if you find yourself on an empty road at night and a neon sign flickers to life where there was nothing before, keep driving. Because the people inside, they're not people, and they're always hungry. Thank you for watching A Strange Thought. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more stories that will haunt you long after the lights go out. And if you have a strange encounter of your own, tell us in the comments below, because the scariest stories, they might just be real. A strange thought, isn't it?